became apparent what kind of deck we are talking about. We have also some familiar faces over here. Eemeli is back. We know how to pronounce your name. I hope this is correctly. Eemeli, it's nice to have you back on stream so soon again.
Yeah, Eemeli, we saw towards the end of day one there, just able to pull out a win, and obviously was able to make it into day two after that. But he will be up against it right now. He's up against one of the most accomplished players from Scandinavia, Tord Reklev.
Yeah, it's a battle of the generations. Now we have the contestant here with Eemeli, a very young player. We haven't seen him on stream until yesterday. He's navigating a Volcanion build, and Tord, one of the players that are focusing on Zorak GX together with Galeisopod.
Yeah, in a shock plot twist, not playing Drampagarbador this weekend. How's this possible, Julian?
Oh, well, he must have had his reasons, and just basing on the fact that he's here and that he has such a nice performance, I think he's made the right decision. Now it really becomes interesting to see how he's going to use his deck against one of the few Volcanions that are out there, and Eemeli made it to the top 32, so Galeisopod might not be a factor in this game for him.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. The Galeisopod, of course, does have that fire weakness, which means that Eemeli will be able to exploit that to a great advantage, but of course that Zorak packs a very nasty punch as well.
It does. And Eemeli is giving us his wink again into the camera. He is all relaxed, hopefully, and Tord obviously also. Both players are ready to jump into the action here. This is the 11th round, actually. So day number 2, of course, round number 2. Both players are looking to qualify for the top 8, which we'll be seeing still today.
Yes, we will indeed. So both players have shuffled up. They've given the appropriate days. There's the coin flip, and it looks like... okay, it's not like always 100% clear to tell from the body language, but I think Tord won that coin flip.
Well, both players are in agreement, so I guess they have figured it out. And we can see a glimpse here of the hand of Eemeli. He has Volcanion EX, some fire energy, and an N to work with, and he's placing his prizes as we speak.
Yeah, and we can see from the prizes here, and again, nothing too tumultuous there. You see a Guzma, Sycamore, a couple of fire energy, a Max Elixir, and an Ultra Ball. Nothing he's going to be sort of crying about later.
No, not at all. This is good for him. Tord is also ready for his setup, also placing his prize cards. There are 2 Zorak GX and a double colors. That must hurt.
Yeah, that must hurt. Now, no, normally he has prize to Bridget. Normally we'd say, oh, that's good. That's really not great as well, because that means that there's a lot of these decks, perhaps if they don't play 2, they might even play just 1 Bridget. But Tord is playing 3 Bridget, so pricing that 1 is not going to be an issue for him at all.
No, half of Tord's deck is meant to get Bridget or to play it, so he's playing the maximum cards that will give him the guaranteed Bridget in turn 1. We've seen him with explosive turn 2s because of that, because he was able to evolve 3 Zoruas into Zorak GX. Now he's limited to 2 for the time being. Yeah. Handshake, lift off, round number 11.
Yeah, here we go. It is Finland versus Norway. It is a Mr. Mime start, though, against the Volcanion start. Tord will not be happy about that start at all.
No, Mr. Mime is not exactly your main attacker in this deck, so it's here to face some of the matchups that are in this current meta game. He finds himself a Zorua and also one Wimpart and decides to bench both of them.
Yes, he does indeed now, but that's all he can do.
Pass.
Oh, that is...
Now, is Eemeli going to play the end, though?
He kind of has to, right? His hand is literally all fire energy. He doesn't have a choice.
He does. 2 steam ups, discarding 2 fire energy, and Tord can't slap his hand fast enough on the deck.
No, definitely not. I mean, I didn't get a chance to have a good look at the rest of Tord's hand. Did he have a Zorak in his hand or not?
I think there was a Zorak GX, so there was something to work with next turn, at least getting 2 fresh new cards. But Eemeli, on the other hand, he was doomed to just wait and draw something, so he decided the end is what I'm going for.
Yeah, so is it opting to discard 2 fire energy off of the 2 steam ups, thinking that maybe if he can get a floatstone and a Volcanion, he can just retreat, attach fire energy, do power heater, start to really put some pressure. Actually, that would be enough to KO to Mr. Mimes. That'd be a really strong play if he were able to do that.
And he can do it. There's an Ultra Ball and a Switch in hand, so if he wants it, he has the KO.
Amazing!
Amazing Ultra Ball coming up. I would be very surprised if it wasn't a Volcanion that he's looking for. Fighting Fury Belt and a Fire Energy. discard it. I hope he still has access to some other supporters to follow it up next turn, because then, if he doesn't, maybe Tapu Lele is also an option.
No.
And it looks rather grim, though.
It does look rather grim, but I think if you're Eemeli here, you're thinking, okay, if I can just, use Power Heater, start getting some energy onto the board and start developing my field that way, I'm actually afforded a few turns where I can just maybe draw some cards, not actually play a supporter, but just build up my field in a way where I can take prizes and sort of up my advantage that way, and not worry so much about not having access to a supporter.
I agree, and we should take a look at the price cam here, because it's going to be either Professor Sycamore or the Max Elixir that he's going to be picking up, so we'll be seeing it live. Here's the switch. The Power Heater is happening. 2 Fire Energy will be attached to the bench Volcanion EX, and let's see what card he's going for in the price cards.
Drum roll, please. He gets the Sycamore!
Sycamore. Well done.
Yeah, so a 50-50 there from Eemeli does pay off for him. He does pick up Sycamore for his prizes, and you can see he's smiling about that.
The ever-present poker face for Eemeli doesn't really matter. He is happy that he's on stream. He is happy for the weekend and with his performance so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to Tord's side. He does find himself another Zora, which that goes straight onto the bench. Doesn't seem like he has a huge amount else to work with, though. You see an Acerola, Enhanced Hammer, a double colorless. There is the Tapu Lele GX, so we will at least be able to find himself a supporter to maybe sort of carry on. He could even maybe go for a Zoroark GX after, or at least try to find one off of the Sycamore. I imagine that's what he really would like to do, but whether he'll be able to is another matter entirely.
Yeah, Eemeli is finding himself a fire start here, and for Tord it's all about let's look through that deck to make sure I understand what kind of price cards he has. He got the bad news that 2 Zoroark GX are indeed priced, so you will have to play around this.
Yeah, so it looks like he's actually put a Golisopod onto the bottom of his deck. Do you think he might be thinking of going for... Oh no, of course, he's searching for support of Tapu Lele, so I got a bit confused there for a second. You can't get a Pokemon off of a Wonder Tag, but there goes the Sycamore, and again, Tord having one last look through just to make sure he absolutely knows everything that is in his prizes, and he will definitely be more than aware that 2 of his Zoroarks are prized now.
Yeah, that's about right. I'm just saying before the game that Golisopod is not going to play a big role here, and of course he's eyeing out immediately the Golisopod GX, but no, it's the Professor Sycamore here.
Yeah. So Sycamore goes to his hand. There is an Enhanced Hammer in Tord's hand, which will be completely useless in his matchup, so he will be very grateful to be able to discard that early on with the Sycamore. He won't be able drawing that off of an end later against a deck which he can't use it. And I'm not sure if there's anything else he's going to play before going for that Sycamore. We do, again, get a quick look at what else there is. There is a double colorless, so you imagine this will probably go into the active Zoroark. Oh, but...
an Ultra Ball even.
No, it's an Enhanced Hammer.
Oh, I thought I was seeing an Ultra Ball here. So is he going to... Yeah, he's going for the double colorless, and now he's... Oh, discarding 3 Acerolas.
That is every single Acerola he runs.
And luckily for him, he has Puzzle of Time, so he already told us that he has access to 7 of them, so in total, together with the Puzzle of Time, and fair enough, he finds 2 of them immediately.
Yeah, good thing too, because, I mean, Acerola is such a key part of what makes this deck so strong, and so if all those 3 Acerolas were gone and that was it, you couldn't Acerola for the rest of the game, that put him in a really bad stead.
Yeah, and also he found the Breakthrough Zoroark. He could decide to go for that. First of all, he's trading in a Field Blower, discarding and drawing 2 more cards. He has 1 Zoroark GX in play that is currently dealing 100 damage, so not quite enough to threaten a KO on that Volcanion, but still a rather good turn for Tord.
Yeah, and there indeed it goes. The Riotous Beating going to be doing 100 damage, 20 damage times the number of Pokemon Tord has in play, which is of course now 5. And now it's back to Eemeli as he has to think about what he wants to do. There's a Fighting Fury Belt, and there goes the Sycamore, which he drew off the top of the deck anyway.
Yep, one of the prize, one of the deck, so 7 fresh new cards for Eemeli to work with.
Yeah, and he does he does find an Enhanced Hammer. Unlike with Tord against Eemeli, Eemeli will find that Enhanced Hammer very useful against Tord. He'll be able to use that to discard that double colorless energy, and it means that it's a lot less of a problem if Eemeli isn't able to pick up the KO, because it means that Tord needs to find another resource to... I mean, we know he has the 2 Puzzles of Time in his hand, so he will be able to actually do that, but it forces Tord to use those, essentially.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic synergy here for Eemeli. He has 3 Volcanion EX, 3 Steam Ups, and there is the Power Heater, 2 more energy in play for him.
Yeah, but then unfortunately, I imagine we're going to see now, first of all, a trade, discarding Wimpod, going to draw 2 more cards there, but I would be shocked if we didn't see a double Puzzle of Time for an Acerola and double colorless energy there, undoing all that hard work that Eemeli just did, picking up the Zoroark, but promoting another one, and then picking up the KO.
Yeah, that's going to be the name of the game for Eemeli. he has to attack over and over again until he sees the first couple of double prize cards picking up a KO on the Zoroark GX, because these Acerolas are making it very tough for him. So there's the Acerola, there's a double colors in hand, so it's probably going to promote one of the Zoroarks, evolve it immediately, and back to Righteous Beating.
Yeah, and that will be enough to pick up the KO. Even with the Fighting Fury belt, there's definitely more than enough Pokemon in play on Todd's side in order to be able to take the KO. And of course, the interesting thing to note there is that Todd did something very clever. He was able to use the trade ability twice, because of course when the Zoroark re-evolves, even if it's the same one, it's treated as a new Pokemon. So he used it before doing the Acerola, picked it up, re-evolved it, and then did trade again.
Yeah, think about it. Like, Acerola becomes another card that draws you cards, like Professor Kukui with a secondary effect, in this case for the trade. It's just amazing synergy here.
Yeah, definitely. So there goes the Righteous Beating. We'll pick up the KO on the Volcanion, and Todd, sadly, not because of the way the Zoroarks are prized, not fishing a Zoroark out of his prizes yet, but I'm sure he will be getting to that point sooner rather than later. And meanwhile, from Eemeli's side, we just see another Sycamore going to be wanting to dig for that extra fire energy.
Yeah, he had the option between Guzma and Professor Sycamore. Guzma, of course, not an option at this point because he couldn't attack without the energy, so he just slapped all those free cards into the discard pile.
Yeah, and he did defy the energy off of that, but before he actually attaches it, he's got an Ultra Ball that he's just debating what would be best to use with. He's maybe even thinking about discarding the fire energy with the Ultra Ball. I think it could be interesting.
Yeah, so he has another Volcanion, which he could bench or even discard here. He's currently eyeing out a discard, it looks like.
Yeah,
he could bench it also and use a Float Stone to retreat and then again go for the Power Heater.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that is because, especially considering Todd has now been through 2 puzzles at a time and 3 of his Acerolas, that seems like a lot less risky strategy to employ, because it's very unlikely that Todd has the remaining 2 puzzles at a time to use Acerola again.
Oh, he discards it.
Okay, oh, that's interesting there. So with that, he has decided to keep the Fire Energy in his hand, but I imagine he will probably be going for the Float Stone onto something else. Then what's he eyeing up? Oh, the Oranguru.
Oranguru, he was threatening attaching 3 fire energies yesterday and gave us the wink into the camera. Let's see what his plans are with Oranguru this time.
Yeah, because that Instructability does allow you to, once per turn, draw cards until you have 3 cards in your hand. So Eemeli will be able to play out a lot of his hand here and should be able to get a decent draw of this Oranguru. There's the enhanced time of discarding the double colorless, very well timed to him. There's going to be the Float Stone attached as well, I imagine. Well, the Fighting Fury belt first, and the Fire Energy, Float Stone onto the Bench Volcanion, and there is the Instruct for the full 3. So there it is, 1, 2, 3. Oh, he sees another Fire Energy.
Yep, so there could be some more Steam Up here. I don't think he has used Steam Up just yet. So, well, he would have had to use 3 Steam Ups to pick up a one-hit KO on the Zoroark. That's not going to happen, so he decides against it.
Yeah, if he realizing that sort of using the Steam Up there is just a bit of a waste. There's not much point in...
Oh, he needed 2, I'm sorry, because there's a Fighting Fury belt, so that was a rather close one.
Yeah, it was, although, I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's mega likely, especially considering that Eemeli is drawn through a lot of energy already, that he would hit 2 energy off the Instruct, but it was a chance worth taking in any case, so the fact that he didn't hit it, not the end of the world, but not the best either.
Yeah, and for Todd, it's all about finding the double colors energy, and there we go.
Yeah, there it is. Being able to find the extra double colors energy off the trade, and once again, these Pokemon abilities that let you draw more cards, proving their worth in the fact that no matter what you need to find during a given turn, with all the extra draw you have off of these Zoroarks, and you're more likely over the course of many games to hit these outs and pull off the turns that you need to take leads in games, and that is how you end up winning in Pokemon.
Yeah, and he can't be too happy about it, so he finds the second Zoroark GX, and that's the only one that he has access to right now, as the other ones are prized. He can't be too happy, because if he's attaching to the active one, that means the next double colorless energy is going to go next turn. I don't think he can make his way into another Acerola, because he needs 2 Puzzle of Time and the last remaining 2 Puzzle of Time to make it happen. Yeah,
that's the sort of unfortunate downside. Obviously, you do want to attack. You want to be able to make sure that you keep putting pressure on your opponent, but there is that drawback you just, of course, mentioned, that if he does end up doing that, then it's going to be very hard for him to find another resource to do a follow-up attack with. So, with that in mind, does he still commit this double colorless to the active, or is he going to maybe go for something else? He does have a Mallow in his hand, actually, and it looks like he's going to opt to play that now. He does, of course, have access to another trade from the bench Zoroark, so he could actually just make sure that he puts exactly what he needs to the top of his deck with a Mallow. Looks like he's debating between a couple of things, maybe the Puzzle of Time, but looks like instead opting for a Field Blower and an N.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he was going for. Obviously, he could have used it to get both Puzzle of Time, but then again, he's used the support already, so he couldn't be using the Acerola as well that turn. As you can see at the bottom of your screen, there we have our famous ticker. There you can see all the notable players and their standings.
Yeah, and it looks like just as you mentioned the Puzzles of Time, Julian, Tord actually did change his mind. He did indeed decide to put back the Field Blower in the end and go for the 2 Puzzles of Time, and those will be put to the top of his deck, and then I imagine that Tord will be using the other trade ability and draw those 2 Puzzles of Time to his hand.
Absolutely, he will get them immediately, and then he can recover the double colors. So if he's attaching to the active now, it's not too bad if the active Zoroark GX gets knocked out, because he can recover it immediately.
Yeah, and there it is, drawing the 2 Puzzles at a time. Will he play them straight away though, or will he hold fire? That'll be an interesting question from my perspective, because there could be an argument to just wait and sort of not give away that your opponent has got him. And yes, indeed, now he evolves into the Breakthrough Zoroark. Attach the double colors to that. Of course, that's another way of him making use of that resource without risking the return KO as much, because Eemeli would actually need quite a lot to deal with this. Of course, the one thing about the Volcanic Heat attack is that if you use it, then the next turn the Volcanion can't attack.
Yeah, it's 100 damage. Also, Tord decided against the choice band. He had 2 in hand, decided against it, says the math is adding up even without them. And now it's Eemeli's turn with a damaged Volcanion that just used the Volcanic Heat, so he has to move it somehow.
Yeah, he does, and there goes the Tapu Lele. I imagine he will be going for a Guzma, and yes, indeed, that's going to be the perfect thing for him, because he'll be able to switch into the Volcanion EX on the bench, then use the Float Stone to retreat back into the active, and I imagine he'll be bringing up that damaged Zoroark GX and be taking 2 prizes off of that.
Yeah, he noticed, well, if Tord had more Zoroark GX available to him, he would have evolved them by now already, because he also had Mallow, so he figures maybe, just maybe, Tord has 2 of them priced, and I can pick one of these up now.
Yep, and so there it is, Guzma bringing up the damaged Zoroark GX, switching into the Volcanion EX on the bench of the Float Stone, retreat back into the one with the Fury Belt and the free energy, Volcanic Heat for the knockout, being able to do that, of course, because when Pokemon hits the bench, it resets those sort of lingering effects of attacks, and then picking up 2 prizes, taking the lead.
Yeah, and he picked up a Max Elixir. The second card I wasn't quite able to make out, and now it's for Tord to return here. He has 2 Puzzle of Time, so he has access to the whole discard pile. Let's see what he's looking for.
Yeah, so one thing we have noticed him do is that he's pretty much been consistently discarding basic grass energy with his trades, realizing, again, like you said, Julian, Golisopod is not something he wants to be leading with this game. If he does, he's just going to get one hit very, very quickly, and that's going to put him far too behind. He needs to focus on attacking with Zoroark, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Trade for Guzma.
Discarding...
Talking about Golisopod.
Yeah, drawing... I think he would have rather kept the Guzma than draw those 2 cards, to be honest, Julian.
Indeed, he can't trade that in immediately again, because there's only 1 Zoroark GX left on his field.
Yeah, there is, but the Puzzles of Time can fix that, and so, again, I imagine he will be going for that double colorless energy, and probably, if not another Zoroark, maybe... Oh, it's a roller.
Yeah, he figures maybe Eemeli can't pick up that one-hit KO. Now that 1 Volcanion EX is going to go off the field, there's no other Fighting Fury Belt in play. So maybe that's what he's thinking about, but decides against it, goes for the Professor Sycamore.
And that now means if Eemeli is keeping track, all of the Acerolas Tord could have access to are now gone. So Eemeli is very much free to sort of be a bit more patient and sort of go for 2 shots instead of 1 shot. There goes the double colors on the active Zoroark, and then Sycamore discarding the Golisopod and the Wimpod, drawing 7 new cards.
Yep, both choice bands now in play for Tord. Let's see what he gets from this Sycamore there. Well, he has an Ultra Ball, but there's no real target at this point for him.
No, and again, another enhanced hammer, which will not be useful to him at all. I do see peeking at the edge of his hand another double colorless, so that's good for him. It means that once he eventually picks up a Zoroark from his prizes, which he probably will do now, there indeed he does, he'll be able to evolve that remaining Zoroark into a Zoroark, and will be able to attack with that one as well, which is good for him.
Yeah, Righteous Beating, Eemeli just making sure it adds up for the KO. It indeed does, and Tord gets one of the Zoroark GX out of the prize card. That's huge for him.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So now back on Eemeli. Now that Volcanion on the bench is only 1 fire energy away from attacking, and he does have a Fighting Fury Belt in his hand as well. So there is actually a potential to pick up a knockout here. It's going to be tricky, but it is not impossible.
Yeah, let's see if it adds up. He would need an Ultra Ball maybe for something like a Tapu Lele, or is that even a Tapu Lele on the left-hand side of his hand?
I'm not entirely sure. There is a Max Elixir.
Oh, he needs to hit that. He needs
does.
to hit that for... Oh, he hits it!
He does. That's really, really big. So there goes the fire energy. and he will be able to attach that to the bench Volcanion, which means that now instead of attaching that fire energy in his hand, he can use it for a steam up, which makes him more likely to be able to hit the second steam up he needs, which I believe if he were to do that, that would be enough to pick up the knockout then, or actually no, it would be 10 short, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 2 steam ups add up to 190 plus the Fighting Fury, but that's 200. So Zorak GX being completely healthy here, it wouldn't be quite enough.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, he's going to go for it all the same. There goes 1 steam up, and there goes the Fighting Fury Belt on there, and he's going to do Instruct for 1.
Oranguru. Well, it's a field blower.
It's a field blower, but now he has enough cards in hand to just Ultra Ball it all away. Go for the Tapu Lele, assuming he has one left, which, there you go. He must have calculated that one in advance.
Gets the Guzma immediately.
Oh, okay. So maybe he's thinking to himself, right, I'm going to...
I like that.
Of course, he's realizing that it's way too unlikely that he's able to pick up the knockout on the Zoroark, so instead just going for the prizes, picking up Guzma switching into the Tapu Lele and switching into his own Volcanion, because of course 1 steam up with the Fighting Fury Belt will make Volcanic eat 170 damage, and that is exactly enough to KO the Tapu Lele.
Let's see the prize cam, that's important, because there's a Guzma in his prize cards, there's a Fire Energy and a Guzma. If he picks up both of them, he would have game in hand potentially next turn, if he can hang on to the Volcanion and the Guzma.
Yeah, there it is. Volcanic Heat announced a big...
And he gets it!
This is the game of people picking up the exact right prizes they need to at the exact right time.
Indeed. Does Todd realize what is going on? Of course, there's a lonely Wimpart on his bench that is just crying to be saved from Eemeli's Guzma that might be coming up next turn. Because there's only 1 prize left, any Pokemon knockout will do.
Yeah, and not only that, because Eemeli played his hand down to 0 cards to do that, I don't think Todd is thinking that an end would even have that much of an impact. I mean, he might just go for it anyway on the basis of I'd rather, in terms of pure statistics, I'd rather Eemeli only have like 1 card to work with and then 1 for turn rather than 2. But, actually thinking about it, I don't even any ends left.
Well, he's looking through it. What are his options at this point?
Not many, from what I can gather. There is 1 end left, so he does decide to go for that.
And Eemeli is nodding. He knows, he might be dodging.
Yeah, it's funny because although 2 cards isn't a lot, and he's only going down to 1 plus his draw for turn. It's going to be 2 at the beginning of Eemeli's next turn. It's funny how it worked out that way. Now, because Eemeli's looking fairly thin, and he does have, of course, the Oranguru to work with, he still has a few draw outs to make sure that he actually is able to see the Guzma to win the game. But it is going to be close.
Todd has a very large hand there, and he has 3 prize cards remaining. So if he decides to play that end, it really has to be because he feels that Eemeli has game in hand. And maybe it's from the facial expressions or so, but it really looks like Todd is considering doing that. So he's thinning out his deck, he's finding himself another Tapu Koko and putting it on the bench, it looks like immediately, before he's going for any of the trades, I believe.
Yes, indeed. So what he might actually do is just do trade after he plays the end. That way you can sort of fill his hand up that way instead. Or is he actually just going to...
There's a first trade.
Okay, so he's doing it now. There's discarding 2, and he can just go for a second one if he wants to just get rid of that Grass Energy or that Mewtwo, which won't be useful to him. And yeah, indeed, second trade, discarding the Mewtwo, draws 2.
Oh, that's not any help for him. Is he going to play that N?
It's a tricky
Wolfson
decision.
to Glycipod makes it a little bit more healthy and not so vulnerable maybe against a Volcanion attack.
Yeah, I think he's just debating, there's one more Ultra Ball in his hand, he's debating, is it worth playing this as well, just to really, really maximize the chances that the end doesn't affect me badly. And it looks like he's actually going to opt to attach the Grass Energy to the Glycipod. But will we see the end now?
Oh, he's thinking about it. This is intense. I think he's playing it.
Yeah, this is... There he is.
Oh, yeah, Eemeli nodding, not really approving, but, well, what can he do? Yeah. Drawing 1 card, but Oranguru gives him access to 1 more at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's a statistical thing, right? Even though it seems like not much of a difference, just by the virtue of making your opponent start with 2 cards in their hand instead of 3, it makes it a little bit less likely that they will have the win in hand. So I think it was absolutely the right play to do, but whether it'll actually end up mattering, it just depends entirely on what these draws end up being. There's a huge draw, the Field Blower!
The Field Blower is coming up. Todd is dealing 150 damage, I believe, with the Righteous Beating right now. And with no Float Stone, Eemeli might not even have win in hand if he gets the Guzma.
No, that is huge. He now needs a means to retreat and to be able to find the Guzma. So there's a Max Elixir first. That will give him the means to retreat as long as he hits an energy off of it, which he does.
He gets it.
So he can put that on the Tapu Leles. That's fine. That's one of the pieces of the puzzle he needs. And so now if he finds the Guzma, he can switch into the Tapu Lele, then retreat into the Volcanion and win. But that still relies on him hitting the Guzma. So There it is with that. Is he... He's umming about attaching this. No, there it is.
Yeah, he's going exactly that path. And if he goes for the Instruct right now, there's an Ultra Ball in his hand, so he can't get rid of that card. He has 2 chances of hitting that Guzma.
Yeah, it's the one unfortunate thing is that both his Tapu Leles have already been used, so he couldn't Ultra Ball for another Lele to guarantee the Guzma that way. Otherwise, he'd have the win there. So he needs to draw the Guzma off of this Instruct now.
Yeah, he's checking for the odds. I think he's counting the Guzmas right now. So here's the first card. We know he's always peeking at those cards.
I don't think... No.
Doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't look like it at all, and that is very, very unfortunate.
There's a Kiawe, though, that could give him some options for next turn.
It could, and I imagine what he might do is... Because I think I saw him draw a Ho-Oh as well. Maybe he's just going to bench the Ho-Oh and retreat into it and then Kiawe. Like, that could be a thing.
Oh, this is intense.
Although, actually, thinking of that, if he does that, does he have enough energy left in his deck to pull that off?
Yeah, so there are 5 in play. He has checked his discard pile. He has 15 energy, so you would imagine there should be at least 3 or 4 left in his deck.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think he actually does have enough energy in play to do...
So 3 should be left. 1 is in the prize card, so there should be 2. 1.
And he's actually just doing Kiawe now?
1, 2, yeah. More... There's not more because here is the fire energy we confirm visually.
Yeah. So it's interesting to go for the Kiawe now. I guess the thing is what you can do is... Oh, yeah, because he doesn't have enough energy left in deck, it doesn't make sense to do it to the Ho-Oh, so he's just doing Kiawe. This Volcanion in the active being knocked out is still okay because Todd will have 3 prizes left to take rather than just 2. And then this Volcanion will be knocked out. Eemeli can bring up... the other one has another chance to dig for the Guzma for the win. So it's absolutely great play from Eemeli.
Yeah, and now Todd, he has 3 prize cards, so... Picking up 2 KOs in 1 turn with the deck that he's playing, well, I don't see how this is happening. He's playing he's playing trade first.
Yeah, discarding.
Yes, Guzma and N, so he has some options.
Yeah, the problem is Guzma doesn't really help him here because Eemeli has 2 attacking threats, right? He has 2 things that he can use to pick up that last prize. All it comes down to is whether Eemeli can find his Guzma on the next turn or not. If he can, he wins. If not, Todd will win.
Is that another trade? Yep,
yeah, it is. And there's another Field Blower, not going to really be much help. Then with that, it looks like there's going to be... Oh, he actually is going to use the Guzma.
Is he going for the stall attempt here? Or the flying... No, it's not.
No, he's not. But this is really clever because what he can do is he can actually bring up the Oranguru and deny Eemeli that draw out. So now he's much less likely to be able to find the Guzma.
Yep, he's picking up that KO. It's exactly 120 damage, so Todd down to 2 prize cards. So Eemeli, can he find it?
Does he find it off the top of the deck? I don't think he did.
N, I believe. And we know that Todd is not really vulnerable against any N because he has 2 trade abilities in play right now.
That was actually so huge, denying Eemeli that extra out to draw cards. So with carrying the Oranguru, so that now, Emeli's forced to end. But like you just said, Julian, Todd will be able to use trades and just mitigate the effect of that completely. And Emeli's only drawing 1 card of this end in the first place.
Yeah, Todd is playing 4 copies of Guzma. I'm not really sure how many of these are already in the discard pile. I would imagine quite a few. But now, same goes for Todd. Find a Guzma, win this game.
Yeah, so there's the draw from Emeli's side. He doesn't like to show us what he gets, does he?
No. That's not his thing.
No. So, looks like he's going to opt to retreat the Lele. Or is he?
Is he really?
Because what he can do is just try and go for the 2-shot onto the Zoroark GX and the active as well. And yeah, looks like that's what he's going to go for. So, Volcanic Heat will be doing 130. There goes the damage on there. Does Todd have the win in hand?
Field Blower, Ultra Ball. He's trading. He's digging. Oh, he finds the Guzma. He nods in approval. Wins game 1. Eemeli was so close to winning it, but Todd made the comeback.
What a nail biter. Todd just pulling out the stops right at the end, finding the Guzmas at the right time to KO the Oranguru, stop the draws from Eemeli, and finding the follow-up Guzma to KO the last Pokemon for the last prize he needs to win the game.
Yeah, you're looking in the face of a true champion. What a comeback. I mean, for Todd to win this game was really a long shot at some point during this game, but he knew exactly what to do. The odds were also with him. The Guzma whiffed by Eemeli, and then he played it perfectly. He was not vulnerable against the N from Eemeli because he had the trade ability, and then he found himself the Guzma.
Yeah, so now it comes to the point where we must say, so the time is already ticking down. We're only going into game 2, but that was a fairly long game 1. So if Eemeli wants to pull off a 2-win comeback, he's going to need to play super, super fast to make sure that he's able to actually finish out 3 complete games.
We've seen this before with Eemeli on stream, so he can win very, very quickly. And for Todd, we know how this is going to happen. If you have a very dry hand, there's not really anything that you can do, no matter how strong of a player you are. And it really comes down to how does Todd start into this game, because the last hand he had was rather weak as well, but Eemeli was forced to play the N, saving Todd in the process. So let's see how the players will start in this game.
Yeah, indeed, let's see. So, I mean, that game 1 was absolutely incredible. There's no denying that. I really hope game 2 will be the same. And I mean, it's really, really cool to see such really close games. Sometimes, when we're streaming, we see lots and lots of games over lots of different tournaments, and sometimes when it just ends with one person not drawing much of anything, then it's a bit of a shame when that happens. But pretty much all the games we've seen this weekend have been absolutely fantastic to see.
I have to agree, Nick. This is just amazing. The level of play we are seeing here is just wonderful to watch, and we can see a Volcanian start for Eemeli. He must like that.
Yeah, he must, and the rest of his hand is a much stronger too. And like more of a good mixture of things that he likes to see. The couple of support and some energy, really, really great things for him. So I imagine Eemeli will be going first. We are off, ladies and gentlemen, game 2, and Eemeli looks like he'll be starting off with an Ultra Ball, discarding a Guzma and a Volcanian. Imagine he's going to be finding a Volcanian EX. Oh, no. Shush commentator. He's finding a Ho-Oh GX. Does that mean he has a Kiawe in hand?
I'm not sure, but if you look at the prize cards, just take a look at the top right corner right there. Todd, again, 2 double colorless energy prized for him.
Oh, no. That is not good news at all.
And one of the puzzles of time that are recovering some of the double colorless, so Todd doesn't like that at all.
No, definitely not. And also, I just noticed something else from Eemeli's side in the prizes. He has his 1 Kiawe prized as well. I'm not sure if he noticed that when he looked through the deck, but if he's planning to Kiawe turn 1 as this Ho-Oh, that's not going to be a possibility.
Oh no, let's see if he's going the Tapu Lele route here, or if that was what he's going for. But last game, you saw that he was very well aware of what the prize cards were. He knew exactly that the Fire Energy was the remaining prize card, which is why he also invested into the existing Volcanion. And yeah, he knows exactly what's going on. He would have loved to use the Kiawe player, I would imagine, but he noticed not possible, so here we go, N.
I think what instead he's realizing is that with Ho-Oh available as an attacking option to him, not only is Todd going to have a harder time KOing him, but because the attack does Phoenix Burner does 180 damage, he needs a lot less resources to actually KO the Zoroark. So I think it's just more that 1 steam up with the Phoenix Burn gets him to the 210 needed to KO Zoroark. So it's just more of an attacking threat rather than, even if he can't Kiawe through it, it's still worth going for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. And Todd was giving up on all his Acerolas in the very early turns here. And Eemeli can't bet on that happening once again. So he has to find a way playing around those Acerolas.
Yeah, and it looks like there's some discussion going on. When Eemeli went to draw his cards, he accidentally flipped over was it a Fire Energy from the top of his deck. So I'm not sure if that will. I'm not sure if there's going to be some kind of penalty here, because obviously mistakes like that happen, but it might be okay. Looks like the deck's being shuffled.
Yeah, that's why there are 2 judges right now. It's day 2. It's crunch time. The stakes are high. Things happen. We're no machines. We are humans here, and they resolve the situation quickly.
Yeah, just shuffling the deck just to make sure that both players don't know what the top card of the deck is. And now, after benching Noran Guru, which Eemeli's going to be very happy about, he passes play to Todd.
And Todd is looking at 2 Enhanced Hammer again. This hand looks terrible.
Does he actually have no supporter?
There's a Zora, there's a Choice Band.
Okay, yeah. He's playing a single puzzle at a time. That should tell you everything you need to know. And none of those are draws a supporter either.
This is even... So he knows for 3 turns, there's Guzma, there's Acerola, there's Golisipod. This game could be over very quickly.
Oh dear. It's not good news at all. Like,
how does he shuffle this deck?
Don't ask me, I don't know.
Nick, find an answer quickly. Or Eemeli knows exactly what's going on. He's not playing any N. He's not going to have any of it. And now Todd is doing the only thing that he can do, investing in the active Tapu Lele and putting some pressure on Eemeli.
Yeah, can you imagine if Eemeli knew that all 3 of the cards that Todd saw off of that puzzle of time were useless? He'd just be loving life right now. But now what Eemeli can do is just, go all in, try and power up this Ho-Oh, KO this Tapu Lele, and if he's able to do that quickly enough, this game is going to be over very quickly indeed.
They might even be thinking about options of how to pick up the KO on the Zoroark, because for all he knows, maybe Todd has a Zoroark GX that could bail him out, because it's also an option for Todd to have access to more cards. So really interesting to see what Eemeli is going to decide to go for. So there is indeed a Tapu Lele and a Professor Sycamore, so no target on the Zoroark.
Yeah, Eemeli's proven himself to be good. He knows what's up. He knows not to end here. He's going for that Tapu Lele. He's won the tagging for Sycamore. He is not going to give Todd a chance to come back into this game.
I have complete trust into Eemeli not screwing this one up, and he won't.
Yeah, so there it is. The Sycamore going to the hand. Floatstone attached to the Oranguru. I imagine that Fire Energy will be attached to either the Volcanion in the active or to the Ho-Oh, opting to the Volcanion in the active in this instance. Doing the Instruct for one as well, finding a Volcanion in the X. That's really good too. And then the Sycamore.
Yeah, Todd is thinking, hey, buddy, why don't you play N there real quick?
Yeah, but Eemeli's like, nah, not happening. Sorry.
And he finds a couple of Fire Energy and an Enhancer on top of that. Todd is out of options.
Eemeli, no holds barred, no mercy, denying Todd any out he could possibly think of, getting rid of the attacking option, and now we're going to put on a lot of hurt to this Tapu Lele with the Volcanion. And I mean, if I'm Todd here, surely I'm thinking about just moving on to game 3.
I just feel so bad for Todd because I was kind of jinxing it in between rounds here. I was talking about Todd could have a dry hand and Eemeli could make a quick comeback, and it looks exactly like that.
Yeah, and now all to really do is play that Guzma, hope to maybe stall something. Maybe you can bring that Volcanion into the active and just hope that Eemeli can't switch it. But other than that, Todd is really stuck on what to do.
But if he does that, Zora becomes active, so he has to retreat it again because he has to kind of save that, I would imagine. So he's attaching the Grass Energy. I imagine he's discarding immediately and promoting the Tapu Lele again. That's it. No, he's just passing.
No, I think he's thinking that Eemeli is unlikely to have the switch out, so it's fine to leave it that way. But yeah, that could come back to bite him. The one interesting thing is that I don't believe Eemeli has the means of powering up this Zoroark, rather this Ho-Oh right now, but he is going for the Ultra Ball, so he will have access to his second Tapu Lele. We do know it's not in his prizes, so he could maybe thinking about a Guzma play.
Yeah, so he's discarding a Turtonator and a Super Rod, and most likely going for the Tapu Lele. He's eyeing it out immediately, just checking his deck to make sure he knows the prize cards.
Yeah, and just making sure that he knows that he has a Guzmas left as well, and so that he will be able to use that, because then of course he will be able to bring the Tapu Lele back up and also switch out his own Volcanion. That would be a good out for him. Alternatively, he could go for a Sycamore and hope to get a switch, but I think Eemeli's thinking here, nah, I'd rather... Oh no, he is going for the Sycamore.
Another Sycamore. I think he has 2 cards in hand right now, including the Professor Sycamore, so he could use Instruct right now to look at one more card there. And on Todd's side, you must be thinking, I'm maximizing the odds of getting a Bridget in turn 1. I have so much draw engine in my deck. How can this happen to me?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, Eemeli, interestingly enough, not opting to use the Instruct, goes for the Sycamore straight away, probably worrying that he just ends up drawing 2 cards he doesn't want to discard anyway. But he has drawn a Floatstone. That's exactly what he wants to see. So he will be able to use that to retreat into the Ho-Oh. And actually, with the Fighting Fury Belt on the active, he will use Sacred Fire to KO the Zora.
And the Scoop!
So Eemeli picking up the first KO, Todd deciding I've had enough of that, because all that Eemeli needs is one more Fire Energy to attach to the active and use Phoenix Burn to knock out the Lele, and Todd knows that he doesn't have anything to stop that, so him realizing that, thinking, may as well move on to game 3.
Yep, Todd knows he's also not drawing into anything anytime soon because of that Puzzle of Time. Really nothing that Todd could do.
No, so very sensible there from Todd, moving on to game 3, and I think full credit to Eemeli there for just taking... Sometimes when players realize their opponent in a bad situation, they'll sometimes not even... Because they think, oh, this player's the opponent's so good, surely they must be planning something, going to end. But Eemeli just kept his cool, played to his outs, made sure that Todd had no chance of coming back into the game, and capitalized on it as much as he could to make sure that he actually won. Great play from Eemeli.
Yeah, if your hand is that bad, you have to send so many false signals to make sure, I'm so happy with that hand.
Yeah.
Please don't end me, please don't end me. No, Eemeli is not going to have any of it. He played this pawn perfectly, and Todd at the same time, well, out of options, he could nothing do about it.
Yeah, so this does mean that there's plenty of time left for this game 3 now, so I do think we'll see this match go to full conclusion, which is always nice to see. But Julian, who do you think is going to take game 3?
I mean, this is this is such a close match. It really depends on if Todd is able to find his setup.
Yeah.
Because if he does, it's really tough for Eemeli to pick up those KOs. Ho-Oh can be one option, as you discussed just now, and this is exactly why Eemeli went immediately for that Ho-Oh, even without the access to Kiawe. But if it looks like, again, in round number 1, Todd has all the answers, even if he has some more Ace Rollers available to him, then it's really tough for Eemeli.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Eemeli has realised that the Ho is one of the best attacking options he has, because as we've already discussed a couple of times before, the fact that it can do really easy knockouts onto Zoroarks, unlike Volcanion, means that he can just keep attacking again and again. And as we saw there, actually Sacred Fire can pick up knockouts on Zoroarks early on as well, so there's a lot of merit to using it in this matchup.
There was a nice shot of Eemeli's hand there, so we could see another Volcanion. There's Ultra Ball, access to Tapu Lele. And for Todd, I'm sorry to break it to you, again, 2 double colorless energy, 1 Zoroark GX and 1 Zoroark in the prize cards.
Todd having no luck with his prizes at all, but at least his hand isn't dead this time. He does start with Tapu Lele, so he can go for the Bridget, and he has another Zoroark GX ready in his hand to go as well, so his start is going to be a million times better than the last game.
Look at that thumb, how fast it's going through that deck. Todd wants to win this. He's not in here for the draw. He knows he's going to play the Bridget, just wants to make sure what his prize cards are. He's getting the bad news as we speak, but Bridget is coming out and getting an army of Zora onto the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what Eemeli does to respond here. We have seen, as you already mentioned, we've got a good look at his hand. He's got some decent stuff to work with. He's got some energy. I believe he had some Pokemon Search and supporter outs as well, so he'll be able to set himself up a nice counter-attack. What would be really, really cool is if he was able to take a turn 1 knockout on this Zora, because obviously Todd is going to use this Bridget to, as you just said, get out more Zoras onto the bench, but the more he can take out earlier, the better. So I think this could be one way that he puts some early pressure onto Todd.
He's debating, is it a 4th Zora that I'm putting into play, or maybe a Tapu Koko, because he knows there's Zoroark GX and a Zoroark prized, so he might go for the 2-1 option here.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It means that as well he has one of the really things I love about playing Tapu Koko in any deck, it means that when it's out, and as long as it doesn't get KO'd, it means you always have something to switch into off of Guzma. Guzma is one of the many key cards of the format that just allows you to pick off the exact Pokemon from your opponent's side of the field that you need, but it does come with that sometimes drawback of forcing you to switch. With Tapu Koko, that's never a drawback.
Yeah, that's a really good point there, because the Zoroark with the stand-in ability is in the prize cards. Todd can't rely on that, so you need something with an easy retreat option, and that's Tapu Koko.
Yeah, absolutely. And because of that, indeed, Todd does go for the Tapu Koko off the Bridget, also for a 2 more Zoras onto the bench. And then after that, I'm not sure if he actually has another engine hand ready to go. It doesn't look like it, so he might just have to be content with passing after that, which indeed he does.
And there's indeed a Volcanion EX, so Zora is featuring 60 hit points, so 1 Steam Up and a Fighting Fury Bell would be enough, and he has the Fighting Fury Bell, has the Volcanion EX, so he can pick up that KO on the active Zora if he wants to.
That's super, super strong, so I imagine what you'll do here is probably just go for Tapu Lele for Sycamore, play out the rest of his hand, Sycamore, set up more stuff, and can pick up the KO on the Zora. About as good a turn 1 as Eemeli could ask for. Yeah,
Todd is already thinking, hey, are you picking up that KO here on that Zora? Because if I knew, I might have put the 3rd and 4th Zora on the bench here.
Yeah, but there it is. Tapu Lele just benching it, 1 attack for Sycamore straight away. Rest of the deck gets shuffled, and here's the exact sequence of events that's going to happen. Attach Fire to active, bench Volcanion EX, Floatstone attached to that Sycamore. Maybe not in that exact order, you might do some things the other way around, but that is the sequence of cards which is going to be played right now.
You're a wizard, Nick.
Wait for it.
Hold up.
So, bench, attach. Oh, sorry, I missed the Fighting Fury Belt as well, but yeah, there you go. As if by magic.
This is amazing. Of course, Eemeli knows exactly what to do in this situation. He needs another Fire Energy to make that... He missed it.
He did miss it. Did he not have another energy for Steam Up already?
I'm not sure if he used the Steam Up, actually. He has a Max Elixir. That's not going to do him any good. I think he invested that other... Fire Energy into the Ultra Ball.
Oh, yes, you're right, of course. Oh, wow. So that could be a problem then, because actually he can't thin out his hand enough, I think, to a point where he's able to draw cards off of Oranguru. So, yeah, he's actually going to miss the KO. That's huge.
Oh, that's heartbreaking for him. And there's Ho-Oh, at least. That's something that he can work with later on, because as we've discussed, together with a Steam Up, he would have enough to one-hit KO a Zoroark GX. But it looks like Eemeli's just short of picking up the KO on the Zora here.
Yeah. And I mean, this is easy to say with hindsight, but maybe it would have even been an idea to discard the Floatstone instead of the Fire Engine just to guarantee the KO, because you can find another Floatstone later. There's Todd is unlikely to target down that Volcanion sort of that soon. But yeah, instead it looks like because of that, Eemeli's going to miss the KO.
Yeah, looking back, it's always easy, of course, for us to judge, because if you think about it, drawing 7 cards with 15 fire energy in your deck, it's quite likely that he would find himself another one, you could imagine.
Yeah, although I will actually say one thing that could end up making this work out just fine is that now, essentially, Eemeli won't need to do a steam up to KO the Zoroark when it eventually evolves with a Phoenix Burn. So actually, this could end up working out quite nicely to make an easier 2-shot onto a Zoroark GX, which actually does indeed happen.
Yeah, and for Eemeli, that missing fire energy is hurting twice because the power heater only targets 1 fire energy. There was no second in the discard pile, so all he could do was to attach to one of the Ho-Oh.
Absolutely, there's a Sycamore from Todd's side, discarding what looks to be a Puzzle Time and a bunch of supporters. Going to draw some more cards off of that. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see if Todd moves this Zoroark out of the way, because if he doesn't, and Eemeli is able to find a Max Elixir and a Max Elixir and another energy, then he can actually KO that. Oh, that's a Field Blower anyway. But if he's able to just find a means to KO the Zoroark, then actually missing the KO might end up benefiting him, because he'll get 2 prizes off the Zoroark instead of 1 off the Zora.
Yeah, and Todd finds himself the perfect trade card, in this case Bridget. His bench is full anyway, almost, so he doesn't need it anymore. And there's an Ultra Ball, maybe looking for the second copy of a Zoroark GX, giving him access to another trade ability.
Yeah, and then he's going to discard the Enhanced Hammer as well, which won't be useful in this matchup. There's the Zoroark GX right at the bottom of the deck. I imagine he'll be going for that. And then it does indeed involve the Choice Banded Zora. Going to have another look through to make sure that he knows still what's in there. But, I mean, time is running short. You've got to be very careful about finding the right balance of knowing what he has access to, but making sure he's actually able to win on time.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tough one for Eemeli to deal with, because he's not going to be able to deal too much damage next turn. Maybe with a Max Elixir, that is. And Todd is really good at setting up right now. A third Zoroark GX could happen very, very soon, too.
Yeah, so again, it's going to come down to whether Eemeli finds the resources to attach the extra 2 energies he needs to the Ho-Oh and then bring it into the active somehow. He would need the Float Stone for that, because, of course, that Volcanion in the active has a retreat cost of 2. And if he's able to find that, he's going to be in a good spot. But if not, we'll have to wait and see.
Speaking of which, Ultra Ball, there's a Mewtwo in hand, so you could imagine that he might be discarding this soon as well. He's investing a Grass-type energy, so what he was missing actually is the double colorless. So he might not be able to deal damage at all to Eemeli, and he's breathing a sigh of relief there.
Yeah, it's a big miss, and Eemeli's looking quite excited there. He does have another Fighting Fury Belt onto the Ho-Oh. That's a really great target to put that on, and he's going to go for the N. Yeah,
there's the N here. Eemeli now looking for more fire energy. You would imagine that he finds some of that in his hand there, and that Zoroark is threatened to be KO'd here.
Yeah. Eemeli needs exactly 3 cards at this point. He needs Float Stone, Fire Energy, and Max Elixir with a hit. That's what he needs. If he can get that, he can KO the Zoroark and put himself in a commanding lead. If not, then Todd has a chance to put himself into the lead instead.
Yep, 3 Max Elixir. 1 is being played already, and this is in the discard pile, so 2 more available to him. Let's see it.
1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. What does he draw?
Is he not peeking this time? No, he's not peeking this time. And there's no Max Elixir from all I can see.
An unfortunate turn of events. So instead, Eemeli will have to be content with doing 1 to team up and then a power heater. He might even consider putting the Fighting Fury Belt in the active, just to make it really hard for... In fact, now I think that will be out of 1-shot range for Todd Zoroark. That's actually a really good pickup as well. And there goes the power heater, just attaching onto that Ho, getting it ready to really threaten a huge Phoenix Burn next turn.
Yeah, and for Todd, he's checking now the discard pile. Oh, there are actually 2 Max Elixirs in there already, so it was rather unlikely for Eemeli to find the last copy. And Todd is starting his turn with a Grass Energy. Yeah,
so he can attach that to the bent Zoroark to give himself the power to actually use that right to beating attack. And instead, use a trade first to discard a Tapu Lele, draw 2 cards. Does find himself a Puzzle of Time and a Guzma, but not much else to work with there. And now he's going to go for the second trade, discarding the Wimpod, which he definitely won't use.
No, he won't use that. There is, however, a Field Blower, and he has 2 targets that he could get rid of here. There's another Grass Energy, so he has Zoroark GX on the bench, ready to go. However, does he have any means to retreat?
I'm not sure if he does. I don't see a Float Stone in his hand.
He does have
a Guzma. That would be the perfect way of achieving that. He won't be able to KO anything on the bench, but he wants to soften up this Ho. He's going to bring up the Ho to the active, switching to the Coco so he can think about what to retreat into later. But this is exactly what he wants to see, because that Ho is going to be very hard to deal with if he doesn't soften it up now. He knows he needs to 2-shot it, so may as well start getting that 2-shot on the Ho in it as soon as you can.
Yep, so Ho-Oh is on a clock. It will most likely pick up 1 KO on a Zoroark GX if it becomes active, as long as Eemeli has 2 more energy available to him here with that Phoenix Burn.
Yeah, and then there goes the Zoroark into the active, and This will be a Riotous Beating for 130 damage. And in terms of energy in Eemeli's hand, I'm not sure if what he actually has access to. There is a Riotous Beating. Is Eemeli able to find 2 energy?
Let's see what he has. There's a Turtonator. That's not going to do him any good. There are 2 Guzma and an N, if I've seen correctly.
Yeah, that is correct indeed. So
and there we go.
So again, it comes down to a draw that just, not as in the side, but just needing to find 2 specific resources. It's more likely to happen this time because all he needs is the 2 fire energy. But if he misses this time, it's going to be such a huge miss that at this point, then Tord will take a commanding lead.
Yeah, it's only 5 minutes left on the clock, so Eemeli will have, if he wants to win this, I think he has to find those 2 fire energy right now.
He really does. So let's see. Tord cuts his deck, or gives it a quick shuffle rather, and Eemeli does the same to Tord's deck. Here's his big draw. Does he find the 2 fire energy off of this end?
6 full cards, no prize cards taken on Eemeli's side right now.
He finds them.
He gets them.
So just in the nick of time, finding the 2 fire energy, he needs to pick up the KO on his Zoroark, and that could not have been a more opportune moment.
There we go. Attach, 1 steam up, Zoroark GX going down.
And he has an enhanced hammer ready as well, so that could be really nice for him if Tord tries to respond to a double colorless next turn. He does attach a float stone to the Volcanion as well, and the thing that's really nice for him is that he's able to pick up this KO on a fresh Zoroark with the Ho-Oh, so then later on he can follow up with something which can't do as much damage to pick up the 2-shot onto the Zoroark, which already has damage on it, assuming Tord doesn't find an Acerola.
Absolutely, because this is Eemeli's only Ho-Oh that he's playing, and I think the Super Rod was discarded rather early in the game, so this is really his only chance of making use of Ho-Oh.
Quite possibly. So now Tord really needs to respond with something. He's got a Zoroark that he's ready to attack with if need be, but other than that, finding double colors is so unlikely because, as you've already mentioned, Julian, 2 of them are in his prize cards, and he's looking through seeing what he can actually do. He's got 2 puzzles of time in his hand, but has he played any double colors this game? Can he get puzzles of time? Can he use puzzles of time to get double colors back from his discard pile?
I don't think there are any copies of them in the discard pile. Yeah, he's double checking to make sure. No, you're not seeing anything out there. There's no double colorless. There's an Ultra Ball. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Is he going for the last copy of Zoroark GX that is hidden in his deck to get another trade-in ability, or is he going for a? Yeah, he looks like Mellow and Tapu Lele is what he's going for.
Yeah, so he'll be able to Tapu Lele for the Mallow, and then he'll be able to use that to put any 2 cards from his deck on top of his deck, and then that way he'll be able to sort of guarantee that he sees exactly what he wants to. So looks like there's a Zoroark going to the top of the deck, and I'm not sure what the other card was.
Yeah, it was double colorless.
It was, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So with that, yeah, just making sure that those are the 2 cards he wants to go for. He does indeed. So he would then be able to use the trade ability, discard a card, draw those 2 cards he just put to the top of the deck, and then after that he will be able to pick up the KO onto the Ho-Oh.
And he can now even use that Zoroark GX that will be evolving immediately right now, so that doesn't have any damage, so it's not threatened of being KO'd anytime soon. He would still have 2 trade abilities next turn. He's just peeking to make sure that he's done everything correctly.
And
oh no, he peeked at... Oh no, he peeked at 2 cards that he was not supposed to peek at.
So instead of looking, he actually didn't put the 2 cards from Mal on top of his deck before looking at them, and so he looked at 2 cards which...
Oh, that's so soul-crushing. After the deck had been shuffled and cut, he took a look at the top cards just to make sure that he's done everything correctly with the Mellow. Did not realize he put the cards in front of him already, so now we just have to make sure that we resolve this situation correctly.
Oh, dear. He thought he's burying his head in his hand. He knows that was a bit of a Nicky no-no.
People, you have to realize it's still the early morning hours here in London, so it was a long day yesterday, so it's just natural that people still have some issues concentrating at some point, and this has been a very long match as well. So these mistakes just happen naturally.
Yeah. And so again, the judge is just conferring just to make sure what the correct procedure for resolving this is. They're just having a discussion now, and both players just paying attention to what the judge is saying. So it looks like the 2 cards are going to be revealed to both players. They were a Puzzle of Time and a Wimpod. We've got another camera angle, you can see on those there. And then the deck will be indeed shuffled, and yeah, you see the judge. The one important rule is that once the judge shuffles a deck, neither player can actually touch it afterwards.
Yep, there's not going to be any cut. The judge is neutral, so this deck is now completely shuffled, Mellow. Made sure it still happened, and we will check if the 2 correct cards are going to be on top of that.
Yeah, and no prize penalty for that one, but then there will be, of course, a time extension, so that just to take into account the fact that there was that ruling going on, and now finally Todd putting the 2 cards on top of his deck, doing the trade in, drawing the 2 cards, and we'll be able finally pulling off the attack and getting the KO on the Ho-Oh.
And interestingly enough, I think I saw on the secondary cam that the double colorless energy was indeed attached to the Tapu Koko, if I saw correctly. Yeah, that is in the active spot. And there we go, the flying flip.
Interesting. That's it's not enough to pick up the KO on the Ho-Oh, though, is it? Oh, actually, it is. It's exactly enough, because 100 plus 130 is 230, which is the HP of the Ho-Oh with the Fighting Fury Belt. That's perfect.
Yep, the choice band, and Eemeli is kicking himself because there's a Guzma right in the window from his deck, so he would have loved to be able to attack one more time with that Ho-Oh Jax. Not happening, though.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing play from Todd, though, and the problem that he now has is that there isn't really much he can do to pick up a KO this turn. There's an enhanced hammer on double colorless. Now, you see on the screen that the timer has run out, but there has been, I imagine, a small time extension on the basis of that ruling, so we're not quite aware of how much extra time was given. So we're just going to play it out. I imagine at some point we'll see like a little die come onto the screen just to indicate the turns of time, and then we'll know when time has been called properly.
Yeah, and also the judges have used their communication channel with us, so it has been ruled that Todd received a warning, so no prize penalty, and this way the game can resume.
Yeah. Did they tell us how much time extension there was as well, or not?
So I haven't heard anything about the time extension, because the time has, well, at least on the screen, been called. But there's no time extension, I just heard, so that means we are indeed now in the last couple of turns, and let's see if either player can actually pick up 4 prize cards.
I'm not sure if it's possible at this stage of the game, because it depends on whether Eemeli is able to pick up a 2 prize KO this turn, but I actually don't think he can.
Time is now being called. As you can see, both players nodding. That means the judge has reached out to them, said this is time call. So right now it's Eemeli's turn. And that means both players will have 2 more turns to try and pick up 4 prize cards. Yeah. And at this point, I don't think, at least for Eemeli, it's not happening. And Todd will have to figure this one out next turn.
The problem that Todd has is that I'm honestly not sure if, because Eemeli's going to do this. Eemeli's going to make sure that Todd isn't able, or is as unable as possible to pick up 4 prizes. Todd, to do this, we need to pick up an EX KO this turn and an EX or GX KO next turn. If he doesn't do that, essentially, if he doesn't KO a 2 prize Pokemon this turn, that's it. The game will end in a tie, and he just draw passes.
Yeah, they have agreed. It's just not possible. They are throwing in their cards. Handshake. What an amazing match! Congratulations to both players. It was a draw. Show them the prize cards. Todd frustrated with the bad luck there.
Yeah, I think I've been saying that happened twice.
But both players in good spirits, and what a match it has been. I think a draw very well, a fair outcome of this match. Thanks so much for both players putting up a great fight here.
It was a really, really great match to see. I really enjoyed watching that one over so much, and both players just really demonstrating that they fully deserve to be in this day 2, competing to the best of their ability, making all the right plays, and especially give credit to Eemeli. I mean, with Todd, we always sort of expect it because he's been around for so long. He's had so many results. I think he's had the most high finishing results over the past few seasons, or at least especially compared to all the other players in Europe. He did, of course, win the North American International Championships, but Eemeli coming in as almost the underdog and able to hold his own, maybe not able to do the win, but still able to pull out a tie. And had that game gone on, there's every